So this right here, you can full screen it probably. So this is the hangar right now, Overdriver Panther. Not great, but again, Overdriver 10's more worthwhile than Graviton 10 is. Provoker Zephyr, Stormrack Orion, I don't think that's going to be great. Disc Launcher Aegis, I just... would I swap those two? Maybe not. Podgun Outlaw. I'm iffy on these three, unless you have Reload Implant. Damage and radius, that looks like the quality's really bad, but I don't think there's an epic reload. Also damage and... Is that reload or radius? I think it's radius. Damage range. The range is kind of pointless. If you have cooldown, that'd be better. Duration, though, that's good. Is Zephyr worth it? When you're in tier 5, absolutely. I think Zephyr is a mech that you should use until you get Surge or some other better mech that applies EMP. Zephyr's just the best that you have, and you need a mech that applies EMP. It's just super useful. So, you know, if Zephyr's the best that you got, then it's the best that you got. And then what was this? Looks like cooling and cooldown. Okay. I'm not really in love with like 3 of those builds, so I just kind of want to see what you have in terms of weapons mostly. You posted just 4 hours ago. Should you post again? Nah, that's fine. Ares, Tengu, Guardian, Stalker. Okay, no, he doesn't really have any better mechs. So the mechs that he's using, I'm not surprised. The mechs that he's using are the best mechs that he could be using, really. So, fair enough. Overdriver 8 and 10. Stormrack 6 and 10. Graviton 10. Upgraded a little too much. Revoker. Why is Revoker 6 level 3? It's just a waste of credits. Why is Disc Launcher 8 level 4? This is where your credits go. This is how people are broke. Because they dump random upgrades into things that don't matter. Disc Launcher 8 at level 1 is at rank 5 level 1 is just as effective as Disc Launcher 8 at rank 5 level 4. Like, it doesn't really make a difference. Like, technically, stat-wise, there's a difference, but it's not a noticeable difference, and it's not one worth putting your resources into. Minigun 8, yeah. Podgun 8, okay. Alright, well. This is going to be a tough one. This is a tough one. Because I would say clearly your hangar's not fully optimized, but at the same time, I'm not sure there's a whole lot that you could do about it. I guess, like, my kind of gut response would... I would, like, probably say Stormrack's on Outlaw. Podgun's on Orion. Or maybe Podgun's on Aegis, Disc Launcher's on Orion, whatever. Doesn't really matter. But, Stormrax, a single salvo Stormrax is usually a guaranteed kill regardless of Hunter's Mark, so you don't necessarily need it. It's good, and especially if you have the reload implant, it'll be really effective, but it's... I don't think it really benefits the weapon a ton. You could be benefiting one of these other weapons a lot more, and still get pretty much the same performance out of the Stormrax from something else. And... I mean, none of these are actively bad. I just feel like it could be slightly better. If you haven't, how do you get that role? Oh, you just go to the roles channel. Like, when you join, it should ask you, which games do you play? And if you select Mech Arena, then it should automatically give you that role. But if you joined a while ago before I set that up, then you might need to go grab it yourself. But it's like toward the top of the server. There's just a channel called Roles, and then you can just select whatever applies. You replace the Outlaw with Eclipse. This is why I don't do hangar reviews, dude. This is why I don't do hangar reviews. What does it look like now? Pod Aegis, Revoker, Eclipse in this one. You replaced the Outlaw with Eclipse. So what do you have to, what do you have on the Zephyr? Please don't tell me Stormwreck. Disc Launcher. Okay. Let's see. Pod Aegis. Revoker Eclipse. Does your Eclipse have mods, I hope? Disc Launcher. I mean, Disc Launcher Zephyr is, like, actually not that bad. I don't hate it. I've seen it used pretty effectively. But I guess, like, I don't know. The Stormwreck Orion I just think is kind of a waste. But I don't know if there's much that you can really do about it. I think at the end of the day, it kind of just is what it is. I don't think there's a whole lot you could do about it. Unless you were to buy Railgun 8s and use the Railgun 8s, but then what do you use your Stormwrecks on, right? At that point, like, your best use of Stormwrecks would probably be on your freaking Zephyr, and that's not really good. So... Usually at the top with the name Updated Hangar. Okay. I suppose I would at least try, like, Podgun Orion Stormwreck Aegis and just see how well that works out for you. Because I think Orion has the potential to get way more kills, and if you're limited by an extremely long weapon reload, then you're very much limiting yourself. Like, you're very much limiting one of, like, the most rampage killing spree mechs that you could have. You're limiting it pretty severely with a weapon that has essentially one shot in the magazine and a very, very, very long reload time. So I think Podgun potentially would be better on it. But I'll leave that up to you. There's also, like, the damage delay, so it's not, like, super ideal. But yeah. You don't have a lot of stuff, so, like, based on the stuff that you have, you're probably using it in one of the best ways possible. So I don't necessarily fault you for that. In terms of pilots, you don't have great pilots. Since you have Eclipse now, you could choose to put a bit of your time into getting better pilots while waiting for Surge, rather than saving up for Surge and getting Surge. Because even if you did get Surge, what would you use with it, right? You put Revokers on it, and then you'd have to use something else weird on your Eclipse. So you don't really have builds set up for, unless you did, like, Overdriver 10 and 8, I suppose. You don't really have builds set up for both scouts, so even if you did have both, you wouldn't really be able to use them super effectively. So you could spend a bit of time just getting epic pilots to kind of fill it out. I would prioritize close quarter. Well, you already have close. Prioritize missile specifically, and for the, I mean, you can't get an epic assault pilot anymore. An epic guided pilot's pretty pointless because you're not going to use guided for a very long time. Epic Barrage, you might consider. I'd say that's, like, maybe your third best option. So, like, yeah. But you already have the close quarters, so I'd at very least probably get an epic missile pilot. And then maybe save up some A coins for, like, a legendary Stormwreck reload, because that'll really make a big difference. And it costs, like, you know, a third of what a Surge costs, so you don't exactly have a ton of options. But yeah. Well, I mean, alternatively, you could, like, duplicate your Overdriver, right? But if you already... Yeah, I don't know. The fact that you already have Eclipse means that, like, do you even bother with Overdriver? I'm not sure. I'm gonna leave that up to you. You're gonna do Railgun Orion and Stormwreck Outlaw next. Instead of Aegis or instead of Zephyr? I think the Zephyr applies EMP and you can't really afford to replace that. I think the Aegis is your only... Aegis mostly? I think the Aegis is your only defensive mech. I'm not sure if that would work out very well. I mean, you're free to try it, so long as it doesn't cost you anything. You should try as many different builds as you can just to see what you like, but I don't predict that working super well. Alright, let's see. He's got a very interesting hangar. This is... These two are both good. This one is probably decent. I mean, right here is just like an unnecessary crime. I don't even know why this exists. Very clearly, I'm just like, right off the bat, you should just be swapping these two weapons. There's no reason to have assault weapon Lancer with a guided weapon Aegis. And here's the reason. Lancer can get up to really crazy places, so to where it's not really targetable and people can't really see you. So if you use like a guided type weapon, you can be a really big pain in the butt and nobody's going to be able to shoot you back. Aegis has a dome shield, which allows it 10 seconds of protection, so you really just stack as much damage output during that 10 seconds as you can, and you're gonna and that's just the best way to do it. So an assault weapon works perfectly, like assault weapon like Viper works perfectly, or Overdriver. Because this at the end of the day, even though both are really good weapons, at the end of the day, this probably just has more DPS. Even though, like, would I say Podgun Aegis is better than Viper Aegis? Maybe. I might go so far as to say that, but it's definitely, like, it's almost the same. A Podgun Lancer is going to be way better than a Viper Lancer, right? It's not so much about, is the Viper better than Podgun on Aegis? It's not so much about that specific question, it's more about the question between these two, because you have one or the other, right? Because otherwise, if it wasn't a question, you know, you could play that game with every single one of these mechs, and you'd end up with 3 builds that all have Podgun. This would be better with Podgun, this would be better with Podgun, this would be better with Podgun. So you can't play that game. You can't play the game of, like, which weapon is better on X mech. You can't do that. You have to consider everything. And the kill shot, I think, is fine, because it can get reasonably close. I don't think the relatively low range, the low homing range of Disc Launcher, I don't think that's a problem. And it is a guided weapon, so you're not going to die super fast. And the damage output is decent, so... Yeah, no, I think that's actually a fine build. But between these two, like, there's very clearly one set. Like, there's one set that's going to work way better than the other, right? By swapping these, you're going to do way better. Damage reload duration. Damage jump distance. Okay. You could, when you swap them, I guess you could keep the duration. Well, duration's not great. If you have duration on your Zephyr, then it's fine. Let's see. Damage dash distance, those are fine. Damage range duration. I think cooldown might be better than range. Because realistically, you're not going to be firing at any longer than 40 meters if your ability doesn't span past 30 meters anyway. So you're really almost exclusively firing while people are stuck in the EMP effect. Can I friend you? No, sorry. Range and shield piercing, those are both good. Well, the range, not really, but, like, you know, you probably don't have anything better. Realistically. Okay, so... duration's kind of pointless on Aegis, but it is the best that you have. Like, you couldn't use anything else. I would swap those. You'd have, like, damage and duration on Aegis, and then you'd have, what, damage, reload, and jump distance on Lancer. So yeah, 100%. And then let's check, see what you have here. Okay, nothing really. You do Viper, not Overdriver though. Stormwreck 10. No Stormwreck 6, which is interesting. You need to probably want to get that at some point. All solid. And you really haven't been, except for the Rocket Mortar 12 for I don't know what reason. But it doesn't seem like you've really been upgrading things unnecessarily very much. There's, like, a couple things that are upgraded, like, once or twice, but, you know, probably for, like, upgrade whatever task. Most likely. All of your long arms. No, you seem pretty decent on the upgrades. In terms of pilots, I don't expect to see anything weird here, so yeah, I'll just look through that. Okay, so yeah. I think the main thing, you're going to want to get Stormwreck eventually, Stormwreck 6. If you get Stormwreck 6, then instead of the Viper, you could just put Stormwreck 10 and 6 on your Lancer, and then you'd be cooking. And I think that'd be better overall. But in the meantime, I'd say just swap these two. There's no reason not to. And everything else can mostly stay the same. Yeah. Pretty solid, though. Pretty solid, though. You were a rocket mortar fan 2 years ago? That's crazy. Bro, this account is 2 years old? How? You don't have Revoker 6 and 10? I'm not going to get enraged that you don't have something. I'm just going to give you advice based on what you do or don't have. If you don't have it, I'm going to be like, hey, yeah, you should probably get that. At the end of the day, it's up to you as to whether or not you want to listen to my advice. But, you know, if you're asking for a hangar review, I have to assume that what you're asking for is how to set up your hangar in like the most optimal way possible, or like how to build the most meta hangar possible for the stage that you're in and for what kind of items you have unlocked. So if you're going to purposely decide to not make a hangar that's really meta, then there's no reason to even ask for my advice. Like you just don't bother. Because I'm gonna tell you what's meta. I'm gonna tell you what works the best. And if you don't, and if you'd rather just mess around, which, by the way, full respect for that. That's the only thing I do. I don't play meta on my main account. I just mess around, just do whatever. So fully respect that, but it is a waste of time at the end of the day to ask for advice if you're not gonna really follow through with it. Okay. Let's see. You got eclipsed like a few days after I updated the hangar review. It's mistakes happen. Mistakes happen. But it's just irritating to deal with because it's like I spend time doing XYZ just for people to, and this is the exact reason it is the exact reason that I just don't really like doing them. Because pretty often people are just like, oh wait, no, that's actually not right. Like, okay, well, what do you mean? What did I just spend 5 minutes on? Anyway, Stormwreck Lancer, Revoker, Zephyr, Railgun Orion, Viper, Aegis, Podgun, Killshot. I'd say this is pretty good. Already, I would say this is pretty good. I'm not sure I would change much in terms of the setups, but it depends on what you have. Range, cooldown, duration. Okay, fair enough. Damage, cooldown. Damage, cooldown. You got a lot of cooldowns. That's good. Good for you. Why did you not check the Killshot or the Lancer? Do they have no implants? Okay. Yeah, nothing crazy. You do have Overdriver 10. I'm not really sure what you're doing with Overdriver 10 unless you're going to buy Panther. Stormwreck, yeah. Roker, yep. Railgun, yep. Podgun, yep. Honestly, like, very little wasted. You don't really have, like, I'd say Overdriver 10's the only expensive weapon that you're not using. Like, everything that, every decent thing that you have, you are currently using, so it's very well optimized, I'd say, in terms of purchases and upgrades and stuff like that. You don't seem like you're upgrading anything crazy. Very nice. Not bad. The Ares is, like, the only thing that you've kind of splurged on. And it's, like, it's a couple levels. It doesn't really matter. RPGs as well. Probably just for the upgrade tasks, though. More than likely. I definitely have a lot of weapons that are, like, unnecessarily upgraded. Yeah, like the long arms. There's just cheap upgrades for, like, tasks and whatever. Those skin notifications gonna bother the crap out of me. You should freaking deal with that. I don't know. Is playing on mobile okay? Yeah. It's almost a copy of your hangar. Yeah, almost. What state do I live in? Michigan. Why is kill shot on my screen? Bro. I know, right? Gross. You saw upgraded gravitons because I'm gonna give overdrivers to Eclipse and gravitons to Panther. Okay. Yeah, and then you can put the revokers on Surge. That makes sense. But alternatively, you could just duplicate your Revoker 10 and then use Revoker 10 and 6 on both Eclipse and Surge. If you... That would... I mean, in a lot of situations, that'd probably work better, but that's up to you. I had no pilot. Oh, yeah, you're right. You have no pilots. Bruh. I just noticed that. That's my bad. I didn't realize that. Okay, so, Alright, first and foremost, I will say, you're the second person to use Blockade Multi-Layer on your Orion. I use Blockade Multi-Layer on my Orion on my main account, and I think people are copying that, thinking that that's the best choice to make. It's not. Perimeter Multi-Layer is better. Don't bother with Blockade. In terms of mods, unless you think, because you're in a specific situation right now, right, where you don't really have a ton of Acorns, but you know, whatever situation you're in, you have to decide, okay, how long am I going to be using this Zephyr for? If you're going to be using it for a while, I would consider putting at least a level 3 perimeter multi-layer on it. Level 1, because you buy it and it's level 1, and then you can upgrade it to level 3 with for really cheap with the cheap mod parts. In terms of these two mechs right here, Epic Hardened Hull is not only a waste. If you're going to buy Hardened Hull, just buy the legendary one. I mean, I suppose on a mech like Lancer and Killshot that you're not going to use forever, it's not like you don't need to worry about spending premium resources like a premium currency on a mech like that, because you're not going to use them for forever. But at that point, I say just don't bother buying them at all. You don't need it. It's more cost effective to just keep upgrading the perimeter multi-layers. So the first thing I would do is just to buy and upgrade a perimeter multi-layer for every single one of your mechs and get them to level 3. Because you can buy it for 155, I believe. Or no, 115 even. I think it's 115, right? And that's 155 to upgrade to 4. So it's 115 to buy it for each thing. And then you use the whatever basic parts to upgrade it to level 3, and then you don't bother spending elite parts to upgrade it past that until you have all of them at least for level 3. So long as it's a mech that you think you're going to be using for a while. You know, like if it's like Stalker, or if it's like Ares, like those are mechs that you might decide that you like them and you might upgrade them a bit, but like realistically you're just not going to keep them because there's better mechs out there. Aegis is just better, Orion's just better. Like there's no reason. So, you know, for those you probably wouldn't bother, but these mechs, what are you going to replace it with? Like, you'd have to, realistically, I think at this stage of the game, you're mostly just waiting for, like, a Surge or Eclipse. And that's going to cost a lot, so you're going to be stuck with this hanger for a long time. You may as well make decent use out of all your mechs. Anything past perimeter multilayer is pretty much always a waste for lower level stuff. And I would get it to level 4 at most. I wouldn't put anything more than that, except for maybe Orion if you like Orion a lot. And, yeah. No, that was pretty solid, though. Just got back from church and witnessing sinful acts. Why is Killshot in your hangar? Can go back to church, bro. I am not surprised a lot of people are going to be using Killshot. And actually, as we talked about in, it's in like that Clips channel video, when I was talking about BMP's video for the Epic stuff, it is, and I talked about it on stream, obviously, as well, right? It's more cost-effective to upgrade a slingshot to rank 6 than it is to buy Killshot. Meaning that Killshot is officially obsolete. The timeline is healing. Overdriver Panther, again. The Dread Shot, bro. What is that? Okay, double Overdriver builds, I wouldn't do that. You could put Overdriver 16 on, like, your Panther if you decide to rank it up, so that's not, like, the worst thing ever. It's not a bad... it's not terrible to have that weapon available to you, but I don't think doubling down on one weapon is a good idea. Strike Rocket Killshot's probably decent. Revoker 8s on Zephyr. Those Revoker 8s are probably like rank 3. It's not a good idea to buy weapons at low rank, really. Almost ever. Okay, so... Burnout's better than cooling for Overdriver. I'll just say that. So I would put more into that, and it's a better implant as well. It's an epic rather than a rare, so I'd get that to at least level 4. It's pretty cheap to do that, and I wouldn't really bother upgrading the cooling much more, if at all. Oh, you bought Overdriver 8 at rank 4 as well. That's not great. Yeah, no, buying stuff low rank is not usually very good. Well, buying weapons, I should say. Because when you buy mechs, it's fine. Because you still end up with the same energy capacity and you still use the same weapons. But there's a... I mean, like, let's say you buy, like, a rank 3 legendary mech. It'll perform about the same as, you know, it'll perform better than a rank 3 rare mech, obviously. And it'll perform similar to, like, a rank 4 epic. But when you buy weapons, you're already limited by the energy capacity of whatever mechs that you have. You're limited by energy capacity. So by buying them at low rank, you're just objectively weaker. Like, any free-to-play player can have more DPS than you by just buying it Overdriver 8 with credits, right? Or like anything else, right? That's just the general thing with weapons, buying weapons. Mechs, it's usually fine. Weapons, not. Dreadshot 16, yeah, no. Go for that. Overdriver 16, yep. Especially rank 3. Rank 3 deals are really good. They're really cheap, especially for mechs. Like, you can, like, it's $5. Very affordable, and I recommend people go for those if you planning to drop some money into the game. But I wouldn't go for weapons. I wouldn't go for weapons at all. Because think about this. Think about this. You have an Overdriver 16 rank 3 on your Aegis. I have double Overdriver 8's rank 5 on my Aegis. You have the same energy constraints as I do. You have the same weapon, essentially, as I do. But it's 2 ranks lower because you bought it 2 ranks lower. So low rank weapons just aren't worth it. I wouldn't really go for that. Unless it's like Gemini. Gemini and Revoker, I think, are like the only exceptions. Strike Rocket, yeah, no. Revoker 8, yeah. Revoker 8 probably does fine. But all your entire Hangars DPS is pretty bad compared to mine. Like, my Hanger just has way more damage output than yours. You got Epic Minigun Reload, is it good? Yeah, all the Epic implants for Minigun are really good. But if your Minigun's low rank, then it's not really worth upgrading. It's the same thing, it's like, at this point, right, like, think about, like, the Overdriver 16 versus the double Overdriver 8s. Like, it's just cheaper to get the Overdriver 8s, dude. Like, instead of ranking up, because I have a similar situation with, like, my rank, I think it's rank 3 even. Yeah, rank 3 minigun 8s that I got from a playoff or whatever. Not a playoff, but there was that one event that gave you all the tokens for it for free. I think it was the minigun 8s. Or maybe it was the 10 and I got the 8s with credits, I don't know. There was some Crate Rush event that was very free-to-play friendly. And I got the minigun 8 from there. It's rank 3. In order to make it decent, I'd have to rank it up twice. which is a lot of credits and a lot of A-coins. And at that point, I may as well just buy Overdriver 8s and use those. And it costs a bit of credits, but that's it. I don't have to spend any A-coins on it, and it's immediately more effective. Let's see what he has, though. Oh, damn. Rank 3 Silverthorn Gatecrasher. Rank 4 Onyx Scorpius. None of those are great. Rank 4 Bastion, I actually think is going to be good. A lot of Overdrivers. Not a great idea. Storm 16, that's decent. Because it's rank 4, yeah. If it was rank 3, that'd be kind of a waste. The Particle Beam 8s. You might have gotten the Particle Beam 8s from. If you bought them, then that's a shame. But if you got them from that one, what's it called? The daily login thing. I wish I got that. Some people did. I didn't. Rank 3 Revoker. Strike Rocket 8. Tread Shots. And then for pilots, you just have all rares except for the one epic. Oh, you have to... Yeah, okay. That as well. Yeah, fair enough. I'm not going to take the time to look through all of your implants because it's just way too many. Yeah, in terms of, like, best hanger possible, I'd probably put Bastion in here somewhere. Bastion... Potentially to replace Aegis, even. Rank 4 should have 16 energy. So, you could have the same weapon on it. Bastion's pretty good. It's a very nice defensive mech. But yeah, ultimately you just put too much. You put too much into low rank weapons, and low rank weapons aren't beneficial. Like, I could easily out DPS every single one of your builds. Simply because my weapons are all multiple ranks higher than yours. Each rank is about 30% damage buff, essentially, right? Difference. So a rank 4 weapon is about 30% better than a rank 3 weapon. And a rank 5 weapon is about 30% better than that rank 4 weapon. So that means it's like, I don't know, 30% squared, whatever that is. It's like 70%, I think. So just by, you have like this, you have like the rank 3 Overdriver 16, but just by me buying the rank 5 Overdriver 8s with credits, I have like 70% more damage output than you. 70%, not even including pilots. So, yeah, like, the mechs are usually good. Like I said, the Bastion's going to be good. Even if you buy a mech at rank 3, it's not going to be maybe the best, but you could at least rank it up to rank 4, and it'll do perfectly fine in comparison to all the rest of your stuff. But buying low-rank weapons, you have to get them to rank 5, because there's a bit of a damage standard. The damage standard is set by whatever's available to the bulk majority of players. The bulk majority of players can get access to rank 5 legendary weapons easily. My Revoker Zephyr, 2 ranks higher than yours. Again, 70% more damage than yours. These are rank 3. This is rank 3. This is rank 3 or rank 4, I don't remember. And I think these are like rank 4. So it's like, in general, you're just missing a lot of damage output. And I wouldn't necessarily put so much into weapons. I prioritize mechs instead. Because like I said, you can get a mech for really cheap, and then you could just rank it up one time, and it'll be really, really strong. Like a rank 4 Surge does wonders. A rank 4 Overdriver isn't really going to do wonders. Like, it's just objectively worse than what I could normally easily buy. A rank 4 Surge is one rank lower than, what I could buy if I had 10,000 A-coins, but I don't have 10,000 A-coins, so it's like, yeah. That's essentially what I'm trying to say. I'd probably get, like, Railgun for your Orion, because Dreadshot's not going to do much. You'd be surprised how much the damage difference is. Like, if you think this is a good build, try Railgun on Orion. You're going to be surprised. But, yeah, you just got to, like, save up some credits, buy some things. We'll save up some credits for different things. That's about it, yeah. Like, it's a good start, and it's a solid hanger, but just overall, you're missing a lot of damage that you could have. Hanger reviews, yeah. Should you use your 8 coins to rank them up? No, it's not even worth it, dude. It's too costly to rank up stuff. So at that point, I just bite the bullet. If anything, instead of ranking up your overdrivers, I just go ahead and buy like Viper 8s or something. Because Viper's like almost just as good, but it'll be multiple ranks higher than what you already have, so it's like whatever. You may as well. Do I review non-free-to-play hangars as well? I just reviewed that guy's hangar, and he bought like 6 different things. Not even, it's like more like 10. So, that should answer yours. Want to do yours? You got 3. Well, whichever one's the best one, the one that you think you would actually want, like, advice for. Yeah, I'll do anybody's. So, loading's got this one. Stormwrack, Lancer, Repoker, Zephyr, Railgun, Orion, Scuffed, Panther, and a decent Aegis here. Not bad. Damage on the... I think that's exactly... Bro, that's pretty much exactly what I have, except I don't have the Epic Pilot. Damage cooldown duration, yeah. Respect it. Cooldown shield piercing, yep, probably the best ones to go for. Recoil and set duration. Fair enough. Cooldown and duration, okay. So you'll have the opportunity to get the epic, what's it called, Overdriver Burnout implant from the free track on the Battle Pass. I would get that and I would use that. And then one of these other hangars. So that was this one. This one and this one look pretty much the same. It's basically just him showing that he's got a pod gun outlaw. Fair enough. If anything, and I'm surprised that you didn't, I'd replace the Panther. Because, like, what the heck is that Panther even doing, dude? The minigun's rank 4, so it's not doing a crazy amount of damage. It's relying on Thermal Lance to deal even kind of decent damage. You have essentially 15 energy capacity of rank 4 minigun. If you include the 50% buff, damage buff that this gives it. Not only is rank 4 minigun not that good, even if you had 20 energy of rank 4 minigun, that wouldn't be great. You have 15 energy. 15 energy is less than your, it's less than your Aegis has. Your Aegis is dealing better sustained damage than your Panther. In terms of energy capacity, not even mentioning the rank. So this is a very low DPS build. It's a pretty low damage build. I probably wouldn't use it if you have something that you could replace it with. And you do in the form of the pod gun outlaw. So yeah, I wouldn't keep the Panther. I would keep the Aegis instead. Damage, reload, range. Yeah, fair. Except for Orion. Okay, Overdriver, Stormwrack 10-6. Revoker 6. You need to get Revoker 10 at some point. Railgun, pod gun, minigun. You got Close Quarters and Missile Pilot, both the best epic ones to get, honestly. And then the epic, yeah, that as well. Yeah, I'm not gonna look through your implants, because, like, it's just way too many things to try to pay attention to. I have hard enough time trying to scrap my own implants. But yeah, so what I would essentially, like, pretty simple, really. Like, it's not much to talk about there. So, I would just put the Podgun Outlaw in place of this Scuffed Panther, and I think your hanger is just gonna be the best hanger that you could make. And yeah, no, that's pretty much it. Like, you don't really have many implant options, I don't think. I'm just gonna trust you and say that you probably are using the best implants that you can on a lot of these things, right? Like, I'm just going to assume that you don't have any implants that you could be using on Lancer since it has 2 empty slots. And yeah, none of the implants look bad, but it definitely could be better. And you'd also be getting rid of this build, which also has a non-specialized rare pilot in favor of a specialized epic pilot. So your general effectiveness just goes way up if you replace that Panther. Otherwise, not bad. Not bad. You're also going to need to get Revoker 10 at some point. Why no skins? I don't use skins sometimes either. For the longest time, I wasn't using a skin on my Panther. I think Panther base paint actually looks pretty good. All right, fellas. Get ready to turn your heads. Can I... I can't rotate this at all, can I? No, come on. This is gonna be interesting. Good thing I didn't think to post my implants. I mean, it doesn't really matter either way. Like, if you post it, then that's fine. I'm just not gonna bother looking at it. Okay. 10 and 8, Panther. Revoker, 10 and 6. Oh, it's Sergeant Killshot. Yeah, you keep inviting me. By the way, I'm not going to accept an invite from somebody named Killshot. Revoker looks like 12 and 6 on Eclipse, 10 and 6 on Deathwalker. Double Stormrack 6 on Zephyr is what it looks like. That's... I can rotate my tablet? Yeah, bro. I wish I could just rotate my monitor, but I can't. Neymar, okay, not bad. You're upgrading your 10. You have cooling and burnout for Overdriver. You're gonna get that free epic burnout. Burnout's better than cooling for Overdriver, so I'd upgrade that. Not the one that you have, because you're gonna get an epic one easily enough. That stasis time implant is completely worthless, so if you have a spare duration implant, then probably go with that instead, but I'm assuming it's just there because you have nothing else. Pod gun, damage and reload, ability cooldown, okay, good. That's the best you can get with that, really. Damage, cooldown, duration, yeah, that's fair. Rank 3 Revoker 12. Yeah, I guess. Revoker's kind of like the only exception to weapons in terms of like which ones you should buy. Like, you shouldn't really buy weapons at low rank. It's not worth it. It costs way too much to rank them up. And you're just gonna be weaker than your free-to-play counterparts are. In terms of damage output. But Revoker does enough damage that it's kind of an exception to that. So that's fine. Decent pilot. Cooldown, duration. Rank 3 Deathwalker's fine, yeah. Revoker 6 and 10, that's good. Rare pilot. Stormrack 6 is on Zephyr. Damage and duration. I don't like... Stormrack Zephyr's not great. I'd probably go... So the next thing you're going to want to buy... This is so awkward, bro. The next thing you're going to want to buy is, like, Stormrack 10, and then put the Stormrack 10 and 6 on Deathwalker, and then put your Revoker 10 and 6 on Zephyr. Zephyr has... It just gets free damage. The EMP effect is just free damage. And if you limit the amount of damage that you can do during that free damage time frame, then it's like, why even have it? Your Stormracks unload in 2 seconds. Any one of those mechs that you have in your hangar could deal the exact same amount of damage as your Zephyr can. Whereas if you put Revoker on the Zephyr, then all of a sudden, you know, you get 3 seconds of free damage, and you can shoot whatever as many times as you want, as many times as you can. Basically a guaranteed kill. Whereas Stormrack 6s, or even Stormrack 6 and 10, on Zephyr is not a guaranteed kill. And if you happen to not kill them with your one shot that you have, you're cooked. So no, bad idea. Everything else looks fine. You have perimeter multi-layer on pretty much everything. That's good. Rank 4 Dreadnought. That's... Yeah, you're probably going to want that. You could even replace your... You can even replace your Zephyr with that, I think. Eclipse, Deathwalker, Parasite. Parasite's good. Overdriver 8 and 10. Stormx 6. Revokers 6 and 10 and 12. Yep. Yeah, I see them. I don't know. Taking its time. Pocket. Okay. Yeah, and then pilots. I'm just gonna make the assumption that you're using the best pilots that you got. I don't think anybody's that dumb to where they wouldn't use good pilots. So... Okay. So, yeah. You got Parasite and Dreadnought that are both, honestly, probably better than the Zephyr and potentially the Aegis and potentially the Panther. The Parasite doesn't really have good damage output because it's only rank 3. It has really low energy. Your Dreadnought, I believe, was rank 4. If so, it is rank 4. Rank 4 Dreadnought's really solid. I'd probably replace the Zephyr with rank 4 Dreadnought. And then still do the Revoker Stormx switch, like I mentioned. Because Dreadnought has a similar situation where it gets free damage for a couple seconds, and also it's going to be really aggro, so there's no reason to be using a missile weapon on it. Like, specifically, at least not at this stage of the game, right? And they're both rank 4, so it's not like you're losing any, you're not losing any HP. And you're actually gaining damage output, so because Dreadnought has more energy capacity. So it's just going to be all around better. Slightly less EMP time, but I don't think it's a big deal. Yeah. I probably wouldn't... Parasite's another, like, really solid... Parasite's actually better than Dreadnought in terms of maxed competitive meta. Dreadnought will be better for the lower SP lobbies because people don't really have mods, and so you can one-shot them with the ability really pretty easily. But Parasite, later on in, like, maxed matches, Parasite's gonna be better. So I'd probably upgrade that a bit. And then, like, realistically, you just need to get, like, Surge and maybe, like, Hemlock or Lacewing, and you're pretty much fine. You're pretty much fine. Volti or Onyx good? No, not really. Like, not meta competitive, no. Like, they can both be decent, but... And you have them, so, like, for people, like, if you have a thing, you may as well use it. You're recording on phone, I mean, clearly. But if you have something and you're able to try it yourself, just try it yourself, right? Because I can give you my best estimation of how something's going to perform to help keep you from spending resources on something that's not going to be good. But if you already have it, then you may as well try it to see how you like it. No one's going to be able to tell you how you like something as well as you can. So if you already have it, you may as well try it. But no, I don't think you should. I don't think you should bother ranking up Volti or Onyx, if that's the question. If that ends up being the thing in question, I don't think you should bother with that. But yeah. So replace the Zephyr with Dreadnought and probably at least put Perimeter Multilayer on the Dreadnought as well, if you don't already have it. And then swap the Stormrack Revoker, obviously, by Stormrack 10. And you'll be pretty much chilling. Okay, so this, right off the bat, Railgun Ryan, pretty good. Stormrack Lancer, pretty good. Podgun, Aegis, pretty good. Overdriver 10 plus Graviton 10 on Outlaw. I don't know about that. And then Revoker 10, Ember 6. Revoker plus Ember is weaker than Revoker plus Revoker. Always. Just so we're clear. But we'll see. Okay. So, yeah. Overdriver implants. Damage and reload. Oh, nice. You have the reload implant. I wish I had the reload implant, bro. Even a rare one. I'd freaking take it. Damage and range and Duration. Okay, you're gonna want to get Revoker 6, I think. At some point. Podgun 8, damage and reload. Okay, nice. Not a specialized pilot, though. Guided pilot. Stormark 10, okay, yeah. With mods. I can't see what level that is. Is it level 4? I don't know. You probably... Okay, don't... I wouldn't bother buying any mods except for Perimeter Multilayer and maybe the Epic Canopy on Lancer, because Lancer's like not going to last you forever. The other ones don't really matter. The Canopy can be okay, because a lot of people, if they're going to shoot a Lancer, they have to do it with guided weapons, so the Canopy can be helpful. But that's like the only reason. I wouldn't bother getting a legendary one either, just get the epic. So that's fine, but yeah, I wouldn't bother upgrading this or buying anything else apart from that. Okay, so pilots, decent. You have rare pilots for everything except for that. That's epic, okay. Not bad. What was the rank on? That's rank 5, level 7, sure. Rank 4, level 7. Yeah, fair enough. Rank 6, yep, fair enough. Rank 5, level 7, good. Rank 5, level 7, yeah, okay. So don't get your rare pilots past rank 5, it's not worth it. Whoopsie. Yes, you have the Outlaw. You have that stuff. Overdriver 10, wait, what? Storm rank 10 and 6. Graviton 10. Revoker 8 at rank 3. And Revoker 10. Railgun 8. Suppressor. Man, I wish I had Suppressor. It's a pretty bad weapon, though. That's so sad. I wish Suppressor was good, bro. I wish it was. But it's not. Yeah. So you're probably going to want to duplicate your Overdriver 10. That's what I'm guessing is going to happen. And then you're going to ditch the Graviton, which is fine. You're also probably going to want to get Revoker 6. The nice thing about getting Revoker... Well, I mean, you do have the Revoker 8. It's only rank 3, though. Because here's the thing, though. It's like now you're stuck in a position where you could either buy Revoker 6, which is worse long-term than your Revoker 8, or upgrade your Revoker 8, but your upgrading Revoker 8 would cost more. This is why you really shouldn't bother buying low-rank weapons. Upgrading Revoker 8 would cost you more than it would to just buy Revoker 6. And between rank 5 Revoker 6 and rank 3 Revoker 8, the rank 5 Revoker 6 is going to win, obviously. Has way more damage output. So, unless you want to dump a bunch of A-coins on that, I'd probably just buy Revoker 6. And then, if you ever end up getting, like, Surge and Eclipse, you could use, like, a 10 and 6 on both of them. If you decided you want to use double Revokers. But, yeah, the 6 just short terms just can be better on your Zephyr overall anyway. But if you wanted to continue putting your credits into... What level is that? Level 4? Yeah, if you want to keep putting your credits into Overdriver 10. I suppose just getting that out of the way is going to really help your Outlaw build, because that's a kind of scuffed build. That Graviton Beam is essentially useless. It takes way too long to deal any reasonable damage. And it's getting no benefit from the pilot or the implants. So, yeah, no, that's pretty sad. Revoker Eyewear form a crate. I don't know what you mean by that. I assume you mean that you got that Revoker 8 for free. In which case, good for you. Good for you. I'd still just get Revoker 6, yeah. Otherwise, I mean, solid. You don't really need to get Panther if you already have Outlaw. You may as well just kind of skip on Panther. I don't think Panther's really a must-have. So I probably... Yeah, I mean, at this point, you're kind of just saving for Surge or Eclipse, right? Not bad. In your hangar with the minigun 10 Thermal Lance Panther, the only reason I have that build right now is because of the 50% damage modifier going on. Okay. So what you're saying is that's not the hangar that you'd normally use. If it's not the hangar that you'd normally use, why would you send it to me? I get pretty irritated when I spend 20 to 30 minutes explaining why something's not ideal, just for somebody to be like, oh, by the way, it was an achievement thing. Or something like that. Like, why did I do that? I'm praying it's not sideways. Nah, this one, if this is you, then you're fine. Stormac 10... Those look like different ones, but they might be the same one. Both 8s. But it looks like it might be like a 10 and an 8. Deathwalker, Podgun, Minigun, 10s. See how fast you can get Surge or something. Yeah, some people are going to want me to do like a meta progression free-to-play account. Which might not be a bad idea, but I definitely don't want that to be like the main thing that I do, because it's really freaking lame. 10 and 6, Surge and Seeker. This is what I was saying earlier. Like, if you have two builds that you want to put Revoker on, even if you have 18 energy on them, just putting like 16 energy worth of Revoker is perfectly fine. It doesn't matter. Like, a 10 and a 6 works great. So, yeah, that should be fine. Railgun 8s will probably do better than the Podguns will, but unless those are Podgun 10s, we'll have to see. The problem with... Yeah. So the problem with Railgun Orion versus Podgun Orion is that you'd have to get, like, Railgun 12 in order to make that build reasonably good. In the long term, right? So if you got your Orion to rank 6, it'd have 20 energy. You could use Railgun 8 and 12. And then you could use double 12 when you get it maxed out. But double 8s at this stage of the game might not necessarily do great, and so that's maybe a reason to use Podgun instead. But I'll kind of leave that up to you. In terms of implants, the Hunter's Mark Shield Pierce implant is going to be really, really good. It's 40%, so against enemies with shields, which is probably most people that you run across at this SP, 6,500 with mod shields. It's 40%, which is more effective than if you had a maxed legendary damage implant. You sent it in spam, okay, I'll check later. And also, yeah, again, Blockade Multilayer. I feel like everybody copies my main account. My main account, I have a Blockade Multilayer on my Orion, because I thought it would be better. It's not better. I just never bothered getting it. I just never bothered to get to Perimeter. So, yeah, if you did that to copy me, then you should just get Perimeter instead. And it's maybe even worth getting it if you think you're going to use this long term anyway, or the mech anyway long term. It may even be worth just getting it sooner rather than later, as opposed to sticking with what you have and continuing to upgrade it. No, those are both 10s. But they looked like different weapons. I don't know why. Damage... okay, you have the reload. That's good. And duration. That's honestly probably the best one you could do. Level 3 multilayer. Sure. Maxed epic pilot. Legendary duration and all minigun implants. Very solid. Double 10s. Level 4 perimeter. That's good. Yeah, no notes on that, really. Level 4 perimeter. Damage range, cooldown duration. I go for dash distance over revoker range. It's probably, like, you could buy it with 600 A-coins. I think it's probably worth buying with 600 A-coins, to be honest. The surge dash distance, I think, makes a huge difference. You could also just wait to get lucky if you prefer, but I think ultimately it would be worth doing. 5 million credits, I just realized. Hold on, let me see what this is. Damage boost, cooldown, and range, those are all really good. Those are all really good. Maxed epic, rank 4, 10 and 6, level 4 perimeter, yeah. Not really any notes on that. Let me see. You do have Lacewing, that's going to be a good one to upgrade. Bastion is solid, but you're probably not going to use it. You have better stuff. Hemlock, another good one. Lacewing and Hemlock, wow. Viper 12, yeah, it's not really worth doing. Stormrack 16 and 6. Low rank Graviton. Revoker 10, Revoker 12, nice. You're going to need that Revoker 12 later. Disc Launcher 8, yeah, it doesn't really matter. All of those. Pod Gun. Yeah, you do have Pod Gun 10, I kind of figured you would. You could use the Pod Guns on... You could keep up with Orion's progressing energy capacity if you keep it with Pod Gun, but I think ultimately Railgun's better, so I'm going to leave that up to you. Not bad. And yeah, you're in tier 8. That's solid. You do have Lacewing and Hemlock. So, probably. I mean, Lacewing and Hemlock, honestly, you could probably like just replace the Orion. And Podgun's actually going to be really good on both of those as well. Unless you want to use like Stormrack 16. Because Stormrack Deathwalker and Stormrack Lacewing are both going to be really good. You could use like the 16 on Lacewing. Well, I guess Hemlock as well. I mean, really, almost everything works good with Stormrack. But yeah, I mean, like, these two are clearly your interchangeable builds, right? The Orion and the Seeker, because they're not going to work well all of the time. They're going to be a little bit dependent on certain maps and certain, just certain situations that you find yourself in. So these are essentially your replaceable mechs, and you might consider replacing one of them with a Hemlock or a Lacewing, but I probably wouldn't do both of them with Hemlock and Lacewing. I don't think Hemlock and Lacewing in the same hangar makes a whole lot of sense. Soul Gamer, go good night. You know what those symbols on implants mean? Yeah, no, I've played the game long enough, especially at the front, bro. It's like 60p. This is one of the higher quality videos too. I can tell that that's damage. I've seen a much lower quality than that, but I play this game clearly way too much. For sure, I swap them out frequently. Yeah. So Lacewing and Deathwalker's a must-have, and Lacewing and Hemlock both do best, I should say. They both do best with Stormrack. So at that point, and the reason that I say you shouldn't use all three in the same hangar, you shouldn't use Hemlock and Lacewing in the same hangar, is because this is a permanent fixture, right? So at that point, you have 3 Stormrack builds, one of them requiring 2 16s, and you don't really have the means to make 2 24s. So you could only do like 12s and 10s on the other 2 mechs, and that's just like not really ideal. I also don't really think you need Hemlock and Lacewing in the same hangar. Usually the map dictates whether or not you use a Hemlock or you use a Lacewing. It's pretty easy to tell which one's good for which. So, yeah. And the Seeker is also kind of map dependent, and the Orion's also kind of map dependent. Is Parasite worth it? Parasite's pretty darn good. It's not like a top 5, but it's definitely meta. And you got a second Stormrack reload. Yeah, that's definitely good. You're gonna need it. 2 Stormrack builds, 3 Revoker builds. That's what most meta competitive hangars have. In your case, you have a minigun Eclipse, which is my personal preference, but You know, then again, are you going to argue with... Are you going to take my side and argue with the people who play competitively all the time? Probably wouldn't. Realistically, Revoker's probably better, but I just like the feel of miniguns, so... Should I use Parasite at 4 stars? Yeah, probably. That'll be pretty good. I mean, what are your alternatives? Rank 4 epic mechs? If either way it's going to be a rank 4 mech, you may as well be using a legendary. Most of the time it's going to be better. Not all the time, so it's like an Onyx or something, then probably not. But like, a lot of the time it's going to be better. So, Seeker or Orion. It depends on the map. It really just depends on the map. Certain maps have a lot of cover that you're going to need a Seeker for. And certain maps are fairly wide open. Certain maps are like longer range. So like the longer range maps are the ones that would do well with Orion or Hemlock. And the ones with a lot of natural cover are the ones that are going to do really well with Seeker. Not necessarily mutually exclusive, but yeah. Otherwise, yeah, like honestly, very, very solid setup. I see very little waste. There's no waste in terms of the mods. You're doing good with the mods. Well, with the exception of that blockade multilayer, I'd probably just go with Perimeter. But, you know, you could also just decide, like, frick it with the Orion and just go in with Lacewing and Hemlock instead, and then don't even worry about changing the mod on the Orion. But yeah, like, solid. Very, 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 very solid. So I'll do this one, and then I'll do yours, and we might... Oh, man, it's the other way. It's twisty, but the opposite direction. Okay. Thanks, but bear with me. I mean, like, so long as you gave me the best hanger that you know, the hanger that you usually use, the best hanger that you have, then, you know, like, there's no worries. Like, if I have advice for you, then I have advice for you, right? I mean, that's the whole point of you doing it, is for me to tell you certain things that you should or shouldn't change, right? So I'm not expecting anybody's hanger to be perfect. I mean, if your hanger was perfect, then you probably already know and you don't need my help. But let's see. So the Volti, the Stormer Lancer, Overdriver, Aegis, Revoker, 6s, double 6s on Zephyr, Railgun Orion. You're gonna want to get Revoker 10 at some point. I'm gonna assume that you got into tier 6 somewhat recently, probably. That might be the reason. Podgun 8s, yeah, rank 4 Volti, yeah. Duration, damage, cooldown, is that what that is? Yeah, not bad. Instead of cooldown, I'd go with like any Podgun implant. I don't think cooldown's necessarily the best. I like to stack ability implants on my Volti, but I like to stack the damage-based ones. So like damage, tick rate, and duration all work to increase the amount of damage that your Volti ability deals. All 3 of those implants. So yeah, the cooldown will help your average ability DPS, but it's actually not going to help your per ability damage. So I wouldn't really bother with that so much. Should you upgrade mechs so you can use mods? Good ones, yeah. The good mechs. Because if you're upgrading trash mechs to use mods on them, like, you know, you're spending a bunch of credits and A-coins on bad mechs that you're not going to use for very long, just to then be able to spend premium mod currency on those bad mechs that you're not going to be able to use for very long. That looks like Storm Reload, Storm Damage, Storm Radius. Yeah, I can tell what that is. You guys can't. I know what that is. I'll bet you most of you guys couldn't tell what those implants were. Lego, hello. In your server, you told me to rank up Volti to rank 5 so it can be super good. No. I said that it probably won't be great unless you did rank it up to rank 5. I didn't suggest that you ranked it up to rank 5 because it's not a meta mech, so I'm not really going to suggest that you rank it up. On mobile, it looks fine if we rotate log. Yeah, except for I'm at a weird angle. Anyway. Yeah, so Epic Hardened Hull wouldn't bother with it. Epic Canopy's fine for Lancer specifically because Lancer, I mean, it's up on top of rooftops, so a lot of the ways that people are going to be able to even hit you is with like Helix Rack or something like that. So overhead cover is nice to have, but I wouldn't splurge and get a legendary for a Lancer, no. But otherwise, you have the perimeter multilayer, and that's good. The Epic Canopy is almost guaranteed to only protect you against one shot, no matter what level it is. So I get it to like level 3 because that's really cheap, and then I just leave it there. Level 4 is a little excessive because you had to spend elite parts on that. Same thing with the Epic Hardened Hull. Buying it is cheap. Upgrading it to level 3 is cheap, but then past that you're spending the more premium currency on it, and it's not worth it. I mean, Hardened Hull just in general on Lancer isn't worth it because you're not going to use it for that long. It's not going to be relevant that long. Aegis cooldown and burnout. I'm assuming that burnout came from the battle pass. Nice. Burnout's the better one. Double Overdriver 8's nice. No notes on that really. Revoker 6's. Cooldown, duration, revoker damage. Yeah, not bad. Not bad. You're gonna need to get Revoker 10 at some point. Railgun 8's. Orion, legendary cooldown, railgun, reload, it looks like. Yeah, not bad. Not bad. The best cooldown is on Orion. Yeah, that makes sense. I'd probably stick with that. And everything else looks solid. I don't really have any notes on the implants. Except for that one with Volti, which is like, even then, I think you have cooldown on everything, so it doesn't really matter. If you wanted to replace, because I think, hold on. Let me just verify this before saying anything. Yeah, you had an epic cooldown on Volti. What did you have on Zephyr? A rare cooldown. So I'd probably put the rare cooldown on the Volti and the epic cooldown on the Zephyr, but that's like penny pushing. It's not really a big deal. In terms of your max, there's nothing really else that you could be using that's good. In terms of your weapons, you do have Viper 8, but yeah, it's not really a point to use it if you have Overdriver 8. That's fine. Storm Rack 6 and 10, yeah. You got Revoker 6, yep, that makes sense. Railgun 8, yep, that makes sense. Minigun 8 and 10, you got the same way I did. That makes sense. You probably shouldn't bother using or upgrading them. It's unfortunate. I would love for those to be useful on my account, but they're not. And then Podgun 8, yeah. Solid, yeah. I don't really have a whole lot to say about that, except for, like, obviously you need a Revoker 10. Getting a Revoker 10, like, is not necessarily the first thing you're going to need to do, but, like, at this point, you already have everything that you really need, so it's like, whatever. But you're gonna need Revoker 10 at some point. Like if you got like Eclipse or Surge, for example, you're gonna want to put a 6 and a 10 on that. So obviously that would be better. You essentially have the same hanger as me, except you replaced the Graviton Panther with a Podgun Volti. I don't think that's necessarily bad. I think it could be solid still. Yeah. I mean, like, not a whole lot to say. Obviously, yeah, there's a bit of overspending on the mods, I think, is, like, the major issue there. Otherwise, not really any major notes on that. You had some good implants as well. Should I get Podgun 10 for Volti, or first Revoker 10 for... Well, Revoker 10 you could make good use of immediately. Podgun 10... Volti's rank 4, so it has 20 energy. It's only 2 energy difference. Like, at that point, what I would say is, like, it's a matter of cost-benefit. They both cost essentially the same amount. One of them would increase your effectiveness from 16 energy to 20 energy, or to 18 energy, so it's, like, very small difference. And then one would increase your effectiveness from 12 to 16, which is a bit more of a difference. But I'd say ultimately at the end of the day, it depends on which one you think needs the damage buff the most. Because like double Revoker 6s are perfectly fine for the most part. So if you think that if you don't think that you need a bit more damage output on the Zephyr immediately, go for Pod Gun first. But if you think that your Pod Gun 8s do fine, and you're not gonna have it's not gonna be much difference, or maybe your Zephyr's falling behind slightly, to where it takes a bit of damage when you try to EMP things because it doesn't quite have enough damage output. It's just a little bit of a nudge that you're given. It's essentially what you have to look at it as. It's like, don't look at it as a whole new weapon that you're buying. Just look at it as essentially a damage boost to whatever, or a damage buff to whatever mech build that you're using. I see long armor, right, bro? Okay. Stormrack looks like 10 and... Actually, kind of looks like 8 and 6 on Zephyr. I don't like Stormrack Zephyr. That's not... I don't think it's going to be good. Revoker 10 and 6 on an unmodded Eclipse. Also not really a good idea. Overdriver, Viper. No pilot on the Viper Panther. Long Armor Ryan. Okay. Right off the start, I think I have some idea of some things that I would change. But let's see. Yeah, Viper 8s. No pilot. That's not great. Any pilot's better than no pilot, because at very least it gives you implant slots, and it gives you HP buff. So, if you have literally any pilot, doesn't matter if it's specialized or not, slap it on. Overdriver 8s. Burnout and Duration. Duration is the worst implant for Aegis, probably. So, if there's a different mech that could use Duration, I'd probably just put it on that. Oh, another Duration. Ember Range. And Revoker damage. Okay, the Ember it's there because you didn't bother taking it off. Rank 3 Revoker 6 is wild, though. Would not really recommend that. Oh, that is a 10. It's like only tiny bit bigger than the 6, so I just to me it didn't look like it was the 10, but okay. So 6 and 10 damage and reload. Epic Reload's not going to do a whole lot. It's the legendary one that you really want. The legendary is more than twice as effective as the epic. That's why it's good. So when people say, or when I say specifically, that for Stormrack to be meta, you need the reload implant, I'm specifically talking about the legendary. Not just because it's a good implant, but specifically because the legendary is the one that you need to go for. As opposed to like Revoker damage, for example. The difference between an epic Revoker damage and a legendary Revoker damage is not that much. But the difference between epic Stormrack reload and legendary Stormrack reload is absolutely massive. So, yeah, not even comparable. Damage and reload. There's no chance that even does decently. I kind of refuse to believe. I have long arms. Did I get them to rank 4? Maybe they were rank 3. I don't know. They're so bad. It's almost no chance. What's that going on in the background? You're just gonna have to deal with that. That's not something I can fix. You got particle beams on Orion as well. Javelin racks on Aegis. Stormax on Guardian. Okay, well that's definitely your best hanger, the one on top there. I don't think there's much reason to check the other one. I can't make that any quieter, by the way, just so we're clear. I have all my windows closed and my doors closed. Just gonna have to deal with it. So, what do we got here? So the thing is, Revoker Eclipse is good, but it's only good if the Eclipse has mods on it. Otherwise, it's extremely fragile. You're not going to be able to survive long enough to kill anything. For Surge, it's a different story, because Surge is the same thing as Zephyr. Free damage. And so you may as well stack on as much damage output as you possibly can. So Surge does great with Revoker regardless of mods. Eclipse is going to be very fragile. You probably already noticed this, but it's going to die rather quickly. It's going to die rather quickly if you're trying to chase people down and be up in their face, because that entire time you are taking damage. They can't use whatever random abilities on you, and that's fine. That helps you out, but that doesn't negate the damage that you're taking. So you're going to slowly be taking damage that entire time, and there's no real way that you can gain an edge on them. So that's a very risky build before you have mods on your Eclipse, I think. So I'd put the Revokers on Zephyr, honestly. And Long Arm, I don't know about that one, Chief. Railgun Orion's definitely gonna be better. But if you don't think that you're gonna use Orion very much, then maybe don't. If anything, I'd say probably buy Podgun 8 and put the Podgun on the Zephyr. I'd say Podgun, or did I say Zephyr? Podgun's on the Eclipse. So Podgun Eclipse is going to be really good. It's going to be really good for, especially an unmodded Eclipse. And you're going to be able to get good angles and stuff with that. And it's a decent, like, semi-sustained fire type weapon, but it doesn't really require you to expose yourself. So I think that would probably be the best course of action there. Maybe you should give Long Arms another shot on free-to-play. Everyone seems to use them. Everyone? I mean, like, who else is saying that Long Arm's even decent? I don't really think anybody is. Do you think Revoker Eclipse or Minigun Eclipse is better? Well, I think if you want the meta option, the most effective thing possible, you should probably go with whatever the top competitive players are using. And the top competitive players are all using Revokers. I personally prefer Minigun, because I think if you play it well, then you can do better than a Revoker. Like, you can counter Revoker Eclipses to a certain extent with the Minigun Eclipse. But that's more of a personal preference. So if you just in general, probably Revoker is better, because that's what all the top players use. And I'm certainly not one of the said top players, so I would probably trust their meta judgment over mine. But yeah, even still, like, Revoker Eclipse is top meta, but only if you have decent mods on it to be able to survive somewhat. Long Arm is great, he says. Okay, well, maybe at some point I'll end up upgrading mine. I got a lot of stuff to do, though. It's like I saved up my credits for the longest time, and I spent all of them on freaking Howler 8. Because every time something new comes out, I have to make a video on it, because people are going to be asking for a video on it. And I want to be able to try certain things. So, yeah, it's kind of a pain. At some point, maybe, but yeah, so this isn't great. 2 assault builds is probably not a great idea. Because they're then fighting for pilots, right? You have 1 epic assault, or 1 rare assault pilot, and 2 assault builds, so it's, yeah, they're going to be fighting, they're going to be fighting each other for that pilot, and that's not going to be ideal. I put the Revokers on the Zephyr. I put the Stormrex. Did you have the... Well, you had the epic reload, I recall. 10 and 6. That'd get you to potentially just enough time to... I think that would potentially get you just about enough time to put on Aegis if they wanted to do that. Alternatively, you could put the Stormrex on Orion. I think the reload time and the ability cooldown would be fairly even in that case, if you wanted to do that, but I think Railgun's better. So if you decide to get Railgun for Orion, then you could put the Stormrex on, like, Aegis, I think. And then you could put the Overdriver or whatever assault thing that you want to do for Panther. You could use the pilot for that. The rare pilot for them. And then, yeah, I think you should probably put Podgun 8s on Eclipse. At least until you can get it to rank 6 and get mods for it.